What's up? I got my buddy Daniel McClam here today from InvestorBase. I'm your host, Adam Whitney, and we're going to be talking about the most prolific disposition software. I don't even actually like calling it a disposition software, Dan. I'm a user, and it's so powerful. We use it for a multitude of things. Welcome. Thanks for coming to chat with me today about the software. What is it? Why did you start it? Give me a little bit of the story behind InvestorBase before we get into the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, appreciate you having me. Always a pleasure to spend time with you, Adam. Um, InvestorBase is great. So we do market it as a disposition tool, and I'd say that's where its main strong suits are. But it does have a lot of acquisition implementations that we really didn't even realize at first, but a majority of our users really lean into that. But generally speaking, InvestorBase is a brand new disposition software for wholesalers. And what we do at InvestorBase is we produce the most likely buyers for your deal, right? So that is the most generalistic one-liner I can give you. To take it a little bit of a step further, we give you access to 10 million investors nationwide. So real buyers based on real transactions. Okay. So you can't become an investor-based buyer unless you are doing flips or you are buying rentals, right?
Yeah, I think, well, first off, there's other stuff on the market, and I have been in a myriad of different softwares. And you and I got on a call, and I wanted to look at it and see what it was all about. And our strategic advantage for the last decade in blackjack real estate, and particularly in the Panhandle and Pensacola, has been that we literally knew all of the buyers. We had the absolute best buyers list that we had just curated so perfectly over a decade. And I was sure that there was nobody in Pensacola flipping or doing buy and holds that I didn't know who they were. And I'm a results guy. So we got on a call, we pull up the software, we put in a deal that I did, and like 3 or 4 buyers popped up. Now here's the other thing too, Dan, about this that was really, really massive for me. Because you can go into other software and click a cash buyer button and it'll give you like LLCs and whatnot. But the veracity of that data, like whether or not that data is actually, is that a real investor? Is it a real cash buyer? And sometimes like in Florida, it would be just some person buying a house for cash. Just because they buy a house for cash doesn't make them an investor. So you have to sift through all the nonsense, right? So people are using Batch, which I love, or PropStream, or all these other things, and they think they're getting cash buyers list because they're pressing a button. No, they're not getting investors. They're getting people who paid cash for houses, maybe. So we got on the software. It pulled up a bunch of actual investors who were flipping houses. And I know because the tool is so incredible, very user-friendly. I click on one of the little blue dots on the map, and it's like, boom, pulls it up, click the Zillow, go to the Zillow, the photos are on there, crystal clear that it's a flip. Like laminate vinyl plank, shaker cabinets, nothing in the house, white walls, like flipped house. Boom. I'm like, okay, accurate. Wow, this is pretty cool, Dan. Go to the next one, click the blue button. Same thing, laminate vinyl plank, white walls, shaker. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are all actual buyers. Like I can verify that the things in this system are completely accurate. I was blown away, dude. I think I said, send me a link. I'm in. Like, I need this software. And dude, we talk about cash buyers. We talk about disposition, right? So if people are listening to what we're talking about, they're like, well, what do you mean disposition? Well, if you're a house flipper, you buy from a wholesaler, somebody goes out and finds these deals off market. If you're wholesaling, you're doing disposition, looking for buyers. And that's what it was primarily made for. So the wholesalers can find cash buyers. And now listen, we were just flippers at 1.2 until we added another exit strategy that helped us make our marketing spend more efficient. But it's like I see it as a must-have tool. What are you seeing other investors use it for on the acquisition side too? Because I have some thoughts here. The way they give you the data is incredible, absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we really lean into the price that investors are paying for properties, right? So that purchase price of what they're actually buying the deal at is really the important piece of information that a lot of people utilize in their underwriting process, right? So you don't have to be under contract in order to run your deal through InvestorBase. So it can be a lead, right? And you could be talking with the seller, or even before you call the seller, right? You run it through InvestorBase and you can immediately see an average price that an investor would likely pay. We call it investor comps, right? So there's that aspect. You can take that a step further by simply sniping some buyers that are paying a higher percent ARV. So we have that as a filter now that you can literally see who's paying the highest percent ARV. So we have a lot of people that come in, run their leads through the software, and are creating deals essentially out of thin air because they're able to find someone who's willing to pay more than what the seller wants. When initially they might have thought, hey, this doesn't look like a deal, the seller's asking blah, 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 it's a little bit too tight. But then you find a landlord who's buying things at a premium, right? So I'd say that that's incredibly applicable. And then we have a lot of flippers that want to add, like a lot of flippers want to wholesale, especially if you're going direct to seller marketing. You're always going to have leads that you're not going to flip, whether it's outside your market, whether you have too many at the time. And if you're not monetizing those, then you're leaving money on the table big time, when in reality, you have a traveling buyers list like we showed you the first time that we ever talked, right?
Yeah, it was very powerful. Yeah, if you're building a business and you're scaling and you're doing direct to seller marketing, sourcing your own deals, there's always going to be a constraint and a capacity hit. If you're flipping 200 houses a year and you're sourcing all of your deals direct from sellers based on your marketing, even at that level, you're going to have other opportunities, deals that maybe you can't take on because you don't have the contractor capacity, or you just don't want to take on a big rehab, or you're like, you know what, I'm going to make 20 grand by wholesaling this to the next flipper. And here's the thing, you don't have to do what we did years ago. You don't have to go put up bandit signs to look for the other investors. You don't have to go sit in the RIAs. You don't have to go scrape Facebook pages. You don't have to go send email out to buyers, or excuse me, send direct mail out to buyers. These are all things that we had to do to build that great list that we had. Mm-hmm. And now it's completely irrelevant, literally completely irrelevant. If it's okay, I want to highlight some things about InvestorBase that I like compared to a lot of other people who are doing this. There's really two things that I like about InvestorBase, different from the other people. One, the software is incredible, but different than the other people. Number one, the price for this software is easily the most value for the money you spend on disposition software. Hands down, it is incredibly affordable for what it does for you. I'm like perplexed. I literally got in. I was like, oh, he's not going to keep the prices this low for that long. I got to get in here. It's too good because I've seen so many others. So like that was one. The value you provide is incredible for the price that it is. Okay, so that's part one. The second part is other disposition platforms control the messaging. All you do is get the information that I need. And if you're going to disposition a property, you want your brand, your credibility, your communication platform, that you have your own email, you have your own text messaging. If you're using somebody else's stuff, you're incurring risk in your business. especially if somebody else's brand is on your marketing going out. So if their brand has a reputation problem and you're trying to send deals out through their brand, that's going to be problematic for you. You're going to have a harder time than if you send something out, call somebody, text somebody from your business and not from somebody else's brand. You're going to have your company's reputation. And if it's good, then you're in a really good spot. But I never want to give up reputation ever. And that's what I love about InvestorBase for me personally, because we do have some market credibility. We've been doing deals for a meaningful amount of time. And if we're new, if I was new, I get to establish my credibility and not waste a bunch of time talking to non-buyers. Like, I'm going straight to the buyers. I'm getting on the phone with them. I'm sending them emails based on the data that InvestorBase provides me. It's just, man, I get so excited talking about it because it's literally, I'm like, I've seen tons and tons of softwares. This is like one of the most amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, brand awareness is a huge thing because there's so many, like wholesaling is the lowest barrier of entry. So you have your new guys who come in, and then when they get the keys to the kingdom to be able to blast buyers that they don't even know and haven't formed a relationship with, that's the real problem because buyers get hit from so many different angles nowadays from people that they don't even know. So they don't know what their buy box is. They don't know, what their favorite football team is, or you name it. There's no relationship there. So, being able to take us back to relational based selling is hugely important because then you don't run into the common pitfalls of, buyers not opening your emails, right? You're allowed to distinguish yourself as a good wholesaler from the bad wholesalers, right? Your open rates will be higher. Your actual communication will be better. And you won't have buyers opt out of your comms, right? They will want to open your deals. So we've actually launched 2 new things, Adam. I'm not sure if you've seen those yet since we last really talked, or at least I talked to your community. One is buyers list. So you can build your buyers list within InvestorBase now. We programmatically upload their buy box details for you. And then you can filter the buyers list based on the property you're trying to sell. So you're really going to communicate with the right people for that deal to avoid those common pitfalls of buyers opting out, and really increasing engagement with the buyers who will actually buy your deal. The second thing is my listing. So you're allowed to create a listing now for your deal that you can actually share with the buyers you want to, with your branding on it, to where that they can see everything in one spot, and then they can make an offer through that portal, which is freaking exciting because it's streamlining the process from delivery of all the details and also receiving the offer in one spot. More oftentimes than not, we've seen historically a lot of wholesalers are sending the details in multiple different channels or over the phone, and then the same thing for receiving the offer. It's coming in a lot of different places.
Yeah, I think that is super powerful. And a lot of people, they get a deal, they don't know how to package it up. So if I can package it up and put my data about the deal all on your website, like, incredible. And I tell people all the time, if you're wholesaling exclusively and you're trying to sell a deal in today's market, you need to give the buyer all the information they need to make a sound buying decision, so you can get the most realistic and the best offer possible in your business. All too often, I'll see an email come out from a wholesaler and it'll have sparse information in the email. Maybe it has a link to some photos and it has like really crappy data around it. When we put a deal out, we're going to include at least 50 to 70 photos, probably a walkthrough video. We're going to include all of the county website data. So like actual square footage, we're doing all that research. Sometimes we'll even look up to see if there's open permits, what flood zone it's in. We will go to the end of the earth so that all questions are answered. Because what I don't want buyers doing is kicking the tires, trying to negotiate things. Like, just underwrite the deal and buy it at the price that you want to buy it at. I'm totally fine with that. So when you create this platform for people to put their listings on it and they can have all that data there in a professional way, those investors are going to sell way more deals, like way more deals. And I know I talked to one of our buddies over out in Tennessee, David Olds, who, he's like, hey, only 50% of wholesaler deals close. And part of it is because they're not talking to the right buyers. And part of it's because they're getting it too high, which there's literally no excuse for that when I can put the deal I'm negotiating directly into InvestorBase and see every single flip or buy and hold that's sold, what price it sold at, what percentage of the actual ARV. It's not even ARV, it's actually the sold price, right? It's the actual sold price and what percentage of the sold price they bought it at. So if I see they're straight up buying these houses at 65% of the ARV and I'm trying to offer 70%, I'm probably not going to be able to move that deal. So there's no excuse for investors to not close 80, 90, 95% of their deals when they have this tool. It's so powerful. And then I think about the new investor, Dan. I know you kind of cut your teeth in selling all your deals to the hedge funds, totally different model, which, maybe you'll talk about why InvestorBase was born after that. But when you're selling to regular buyers, like they got to get deals. They have to make money or they don't come back to you. And we've been doing this for over a decade. So like we have sold deals to buyers. Most buyers buy more than one deal from us. Now we have 4,000 buyers in a metro of 500,000 people. And now we have InvestorBase, and it's so easy to do deals in real estate with the right tools, man. Yeah. Can you talk about kind of because you're unique when you came into the hedge fund space, and then this was born out of that. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because that's a pretty cool story as well.
Yeah. So I was a commercial broker, majored in commercial real estate, went into commercial brokerage, did that for 3 years, loved it, didn't want to leave. My older brother, Andrew, got into wholesaling in about 2020, convinced me to come start my own firm. So I left, started my own firm, started wholesaling specifically with the intent to sell to hedge funds. So we did about 150 deals in 18 months. And not a single one went to a local flipper or landlord. All went to institutional buyers. So we worked with like probably 10 different funds across 10 different markets, probably 3, 4, 5 more than the other 7. But it all kind of came crashing down in 2022 when rates went up. Got hit like a freaking freight train.
They all left.
Yeah. And so we were left really holding the bag. We had like 13 deals terminate in one day that we were still under contract on, right? But the buyer's gone. So we had 30 deals under contract that we had to figure out how to move in like 2 weeks. We still had 40 leads coming in per day with no buyers. So we had to JV basically all those. My acquisition agents were pissed. There was 4 of them in-house. And it was tough, honestly. It was a tough time. Like, it was really hard. So we looked at our options out there, and like we already talked about, like, the pulling together the data yourself is very time intensive and ultimately unreliable. You're calling owner occupants, it's a pain in the butt. And it's just as expensive as using us because you got to skip trace it at the end. So we offer free skip tracing. And then we didn't want to pay a lot of money, the big price tag for some of these other softwares out there. So ultimately we created InvestorBase, and it legit saved our business. Like, it gave us the ability to actually sell deals ourselves. So that happened in 2023. We were flipping houses, we were using InvestorBase, and then InvestorBase was working so well that we decided to get some beta users on there, and they were like, dude, this is insane. Like, you gotta do this. And we were like, okay. So went full time into it, and launched about a year ago. So 3 days from now will be our 1-year anniversary.
Absolutely incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. The InvestorBase has been a game changer for a lot of investors I talk to. So I'm grateful that you guys had that experience, albeit challenging. What do you guys have on the horizon? There's so many good features in there right now, and let me just say, it's not like this overcomplicated software that has all kinds of it's so user friendly. I'm really excited to hear about what you guys have on the docket for the rest of 2025 rolling out with this.
Yeah, I'll try and get specific without getting too specific, just so that some people out there don't try and steal our ideas. But there's probably big things is going to be, probably some pricing tiers that we're going to roll out. Right now, it's one size fits all. So I would imagine there will be some pricing shifts that we've been talking about for the last 10 months. There will be some more integrations that will be coming into play. So we're looking at a Zapier integration. We're looking at a few other integrations, whether with CRMs, email providers, SMS providers, some things to really streamline the workflow for you. There's going to be some more analytics functionality. So essentially a heat map where you can look in the entire United States and see the average percent of ARV that people are buying at, which will be cool when you're determining your marketing, right? There's a lot of other good stuff on the buyer front. We'll be leaning into identifying creative buyers, which should be coming out soon, which is exciting.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a rabbit hole when you go down that one, man. So we got that coming up, some MLS data coming up, some skip tracing enhancements, some data enhancements. It's just going to get better from here. So we're excited for the rest of the year. We got a ton of stuff to build. Development team's grown significantly. So we're pumping out stuff really fast now, which is awesome. So look forward to seeing where it is in 2026 for sure.
I'm by far most excited about the analytics. The analytics get me super pumped. Keeping your eyes on the numbers and the markets and supply and demand as a fundamental business owner is so critical. It's something that's overlooked by so many. I think that when you guys, with all the access to data and how your development team has made these algorithms and these large language models that curate the data in such a way that makes it so simple to see, like right at your fingertips, and what you're going to do. I'm heat map, like market analysis. I'm thinking all these cool things that I can do with it. So that's super exciting, man. I'm really looking forward to that. And I know I don't actually know what your pricing changes are going to be or your tiers, but I know you have some really cool stuff going on right now in terms of if folks want to get into InvestorBase right now, what kind of, do you have a promo right now? Like, how can people get into InvestorBase right now? What do you got for us?
Yeah. So right now, if you use y'all's promotional code, which will likely be attached in a link form, you'll get $100 off the first month. Depending on the time you watch this, we're actually thinking of increasing that amount. So if you get a better deal than what I'm telling you now, congratulations.
What's it going to be? Let's just put it out there. I'll make sure it gets out to the people.
Okay. Well, we're doing two things actually. One I didn't mention to you. One, we're considering increasing just your normal link to about 75, somewhere between 75 and $100 for the first 2 or 3 months, right? So
let's
in
go.
addition, about doubling or tripling the discount. Also, we're going to be doing an annual promotion some point here soon. So look out for that. That's going to be a pretty mega annual promotion. It'll probably be over over $1,000 off the annual package, which Adam, you tell me, man, you move one deal, you're kind of at that point, you will have paid for the software for the next 5 years.
It's
1 year. So
Dan, the crazy part is like, first off, that promotion, people will have a cheaper price than what I pay for it. And I'm a paid user. Like I'm not a free user. I'm a paid user. And
you're not a free user, Adam?
No.
Messed up, man.
I know.
We'll have a separate conversation.
Got to talk to somebody about that. No, but I mean, seriously, it was that valuable that it was just a no brainer. it's already not expensive.
Yeah.
And you're going to get it like $1,000 off is literally insane. So if you're on this right now, if you're seeing this, like, you got to get in that. Get in it before it changes the prices. Can I deregister and re-register? I don't know how that works, but no, that's awesome, man. I love it.
So if you're active, you'll be able to jump in on that promo, and then it'll apply for the next time your billing cycle comes around. So it's not going to expire, but you have to plug it in within a window. Okay. And I'll say this, the only reason we're doing this, like, we've never done this before. The only reason we're doing it is because it's our 1-year anniversary, and we really appreciate all the people who've come in so far within our first year. Like, our early adopters, like, we want to basically reward y'all for taking a chance on us, and riding with us, because the only way we've been able to develop it more is because of the people who have come in this first year, so we want to just reward them, and any new people that are watching this that haven't seen it before, like, take advantage of this, because it's
get on, at least
take advantage of it too.
Get a demo, at least get a demo, because even if you're flipping houses, this is like, it can help you make sure you buy right. Make sure you don't lose money. Make sure you buy you can, if you're inexperienced, you can see what experienced people are paying for. There's so much utility to this. Like, at least get a demo on this thing. Definitely go to the link and check it out. Like, it's insane. I know people are listening to this on like Apple and Spotify and all these places they listen to podcasts. So I can't pull up my software. I literally have a tab open on my computer because I use it every day. I'm always looking at houses and seeing what people are paying, specifically investors. Right. That's awesome, man. Hey, Dan, seriously, thank you so much for being you. I've really enjoyed, just getting to know you over the last year, seeing what you guys are doing in InvestorBase. I'm grateful that I got to be one of the early adopters in the software, and it's brought massive value. As soon as we launched with InvestorBase, we dispositioned like, I don't know, a couple of properties. I mean, we made like 150 grand, like, as soon as we started using it on disposition. So it paid for itself for eternity, really, for us. So I'm a huge fan. It's a great software. And for those who've been listening to me and know me, I'm like the anti-software guy. I'm the guy who's like, you can do real estate with a pad of paper and a phone and an email. Like, you don't need to go waste a bunch of money on software. Of course, as you scale, you do have to add some tools to your company, but this is one of those tools that I think is a complete game changer for so many investors.
I would biasly agree there, Adam, but I appreciate you too, man. I've enjoyed getting to hang with you at some of these events, and you're definitely a real one. So I appreciate being able to mess around with you, because I don't take myself that seriously. I like being able to jam with you on that.
I love it, man. Well, thanks a lot, Dan. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you guys. Go check out the link, InvestorBase. They've got really cool stuff coming out in 2025, and you're not going to get it for a better deal than what you can get it right now. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one.